We're back with the Foolish Optimist. As you know, my name is Amy McDonald. Today with me, we have Kelly Brown. Kelly Brown's running for Wisconsin's 6th Congressional District. Born and raised on a small Wisconsin farm, they learned resilience and responsibility the hard way, feeding animals before school and volunteering in their community by the age of 8. Now, running for Congress in the Wisconsin 6, Kelly is fighting to bring real representation and justice for every community grounded in lived experience, radical empathy, and the belief that nobody should have to fight for their basic rights alone. A bar, that's beautiful. Kelly, thank you so much for being here. Could you, in your own words, tell us why you're running in 2026?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Basically, I am autistic. I'm trans. I grew up rural on a dairy farm. It was a goat dairy farm, so that was fun. And then and it was a Christian conservative community. So for me, the biggest part is the kids that were like me growing up. If I had successfully done my first attempt, I would have been 5 years old. Like literally,
Right.
you just grow up knowing that you're different. And I didn't know I was different. I just knew I felt like I was a bad kid for some reason. And I just couldn't be the perfect kid. And so at that time, I just thought if I could die and come back and I could just be better and act the right way. And that type of stuff. And I did grow up in a pretty politically divided house. My dad was conservative. My mom was liberal. They always fought. So I originally really didn't get into politics because it was just the person who had the loudest voice that won. I.e. my dad, or thought he won.
Right.
And then I fully started getting into politics when we had a foreign exchange student come to my high school, and she was from Finland, and we became friends. She was one of the first ones to ask me what I thought about Bush. I lived in a sounding board community, like it was conservative Christian. My mom was the only liberal I knew, so I thought she was just wrong.
Right.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I just look him up. I didn't know really anything about him other than what my dad said. And I just said, oh, I'm glad he's president and blah, 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 and just something very baseline, not deep. And she goes, really? You're okay with it? So
Shock and awe.
she was the first person to question me, and it really shocked me too. So I was just like, what? It didn't trigger me then to really do too much digging yet. The indoctrination was hardcore because I also went to a Christian school for a little bit. But she planted the seed. And then when I got to college, I had a very outspoken liberal friend, my very first friend in college, and she's still my best friend today. She wore a "Not My President" for her senior pictures. But then, yeah, so that just fully opened me up. And then as my life progressed, I continued just meeting more people. I loved meeting new cultures and I loved learning things. And quickly, I started learning that a lot of things that I was taught growing up were wrong. Like all the assumptions that I was made about people, that I was raised to think about people, like everything was just always wrong. And I struggled. I fought with people on the internet in my own hometown about things. I'm like, no, we have to do this. Like I was told by a few people in my town that I grew up in my hometown. If I don't like it, I should move. And
Yeah. I grew up in the South, and I'm like, no, actually, everyone should be able to live where they grew up. They should be able to stay and be happy and have job opportunities and do all the things. They don't have to. Oh, I'm sorry. That is, we struck a chord. That's one of the things that drives me no, people shouldn't have to leave where they're from. Anyways.
Right. Oh, you're fine. But yeah, she said that to me. And I struggled when my son was in school there. I now homeschool because after COVID, they decided to go full back into no masks and 5 days a week. And I have immunocompromised. I decided to homeschool.
Yeah.
But he was playing club basketball, and the rules of club basketball were boys had to have conventional haircuts, natural hair colors, like bullshit 1950 stuff. And I made a post about it, and I got retributed by my town, or reviewed by my town. Wrong word. I got rebuked by my town. They're like, if you complain, he's the sole person funding this program, and he's been funding it for 20 some odd years or whatever. And if you complain, and these are his rules, and he's not going to fund it anymore, I'm like, so then we can get other community members to fund it.
Right. We could find other money. There's a lot of
We
money.
can
We can
find
find the money.
right. Randolph is it's a small town, and its claim to fame is they won 4 state tournaments in a row.
In basketball.
I was in high school, in basketball. So I was in high school when that happened. I was there for 3 of the 4 years they won in a row. And what's their claim to fame? Somebody's going to fund league basketball.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, like, it's a perfect, this is one of those moments where you lean, it's a child's club basketball. You don't want to help the children, you get the money. You don't want to help the little kids? Oh, okay. Oh, that'll be interesting when I tell everyone that you know that.
Yeah. I was
I'm not above that.
The gaslighting that's in conservative towns is just ridiculous. I wish I could just shake everybody in town and just be like, you are being gaslit. You are allowing things to happen to whatever. But back to like why I'm running. So that was just, the struggles that I've had. I worked many jobs because I've always had 2 or 3 jobs at the same time. And so I learned a lot through many coworkers, especially working in a call center at US Cellular. I got to hear the nasty stuff people said to my, my cube neighbors. Vilma, I remember she got upset. She's like, 3rd person today that told me I should speak English. And I'm like, you are speaking English. What are you talking about? Just because she had an accent. I learned a lot there, a lot. That's where a lot of my growth happened. And I really realized I learned a lot of internalized racism, learned a lot of stuff that I had going on. And then and I've always been service oriented too. I started working in soup kitchens, went through my mom's work when I was like 8 years old. I remember smelling pot for the first time when I was 8 years old in soup kitchen.
What is that?
I'm like, that's a really strong smell. My mom's like, I think that's patchouli.
We were in New Jersey at the time, and I was like, it smells good.
Yeah.
My parents are hippies, so I was like, maybe it's in our genes.
There you go. My mom is one at heart, but my dad always said she wouldn't make a good hippie because she needs all the comforts of home.
My dad taught me how to blow dry my hair because my mom literally had never done it, but her hair was just long, straight, very air dry. But he when he needed his like beach waves, so he knew how to blow dry his hair in the 70s style. But my mom literally didn't start blow drying her hair probably until like 10 years ago.
My hair, I literally get up in the morning, go to the bathroom, wash my hands, and dry it off in my hair, and wash my hands again.
But it does that naturally.
It just does this. This is just what it does.
I'm so mad at you right now. It looks so good. It's just like got like a natural wave to it. Like,
but I have that super fine hair that the moment there's any weight to it, there's no wave. It's just straight. It took me probably 32 years to finally figure out how to style my hair so it didn't look like it was a rat's nest.
I love that. All right, we're moving back to
moving back. So
you're working in volunteering in homeless shelters.
Yeah, so I volunteered like even for my 13th birthday when my mom asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, we volunteered for the Habitat for Humanity. I went and scraped a house. That's what I wanted to do, and then we went to the zoo.
Hell yeah,
13-year-old dream, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just continued through that with service between 4-H and FFA. I was the youngest non-binary person to win the National Agri Entrepreneur Award. I won that 14 years old.
Could you explain what that is for our listeners?
Sure. So in FFA, it's also known as Future Farmers of America. I had my own business since I was 8 years old. And then I had second business that I started at 12. That one at 12, my egg or the person else going to be my future egg advisor for FFA, um, he started like coming around and taking pictures and already starting to document everything.
Yeah.
So by the time I was 14 and I couldn't officially be an FFA, I already had everything collected that I needed to win that award.
Hell yeah.
Um, it just means that I won an award for owning my own business, starting my own business as a young person.
And this is going to be me reiterating it, but obviously it's agriculturally focused, right? With the
Mhm.
future farmers of America. And that's also something you're super passionate. Rural,
I am.
like revitalizing rural communities. Could you talk a little about that? Because I think
Yeah.
a lot of America is very interested in that. Actually, pretty much all of us, right? As we see all these
Yeah.
tariffs come in, we're all terrified, and we want to make sure our farmers are taken care of and all of the things, you know?
hmm Yeah. So yeah, rural revitalization is a big part of what I do because, or what I'm passionate about because my first semester at college, when I finally did college online, or when I tried to do college online because I was a single parent,
Mm-hmm.
um, was on dial-up.
Whew. Okay, that's that's right. I can't. Resilience is a word that comes to mind. It's trying to take a course with dial-up. That is to be so hard and frustrating. And for the young people listening, dial up is when we used to literally have to switch between our home phone line and the internet. It wasn't wireless. You had to plug something in and you couldn't use both lines at the same time. It is slower than what we know now, and it is harder to manage and easier to air quotes break, easier to stop working. So if you're taking a class and something happens, you're SOL a little bit. That's shit out of luck.
Or if you're downloading a song on LimeWire for 8 hours and someone picks up the phone,
Mom, mom. What? Like the Linkin Park CD is not going to download itself, Judy. Please, please.
it
Yeah,
takes at least 8 to 12 hours to download one song. Come on.
we were forged in the fire, literally, for the internet world. I'm like exactly your age, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I also went to Christian school and was like it was Southern Presbyterian, so it wasn't really evangelical, but
Mhm.
um I had to switch schools. I had to go to public school because we didn't have any more money for Christian school, and they didn't offer to help pay for the Christian school. Don't worry. They just told me I was going to hell for going to public school, and I was like, the phrasing was insane. They literally were like, "You can do whatever you want. You're going to public school now," and I was like, "I've never. I there's rules. There must be rules. Like I don't think I can do whatever I want." And they were like, "No, you can do whatever you want because you're going to go to hell now." I was 11.
Oh my
I
God.
was like,
What's wrong with people?
I was like, oh, that's why I was like nodding along so vigorously during the conversation about being raised super religious and at a private Christian school because
Mhm.
it's different. It's
Mhm.
different.
It
Yeah,
is different. We were poor, but our church helped fund for what you couldn't pay for. So
that's awesome. We went
so
to a
that's why I
we
was
went to
able
a
to go.
different we went to a different church. Literally, they were like, "We'll give you a discount if you come to our church," and my parents were like, "No." Like they were like, "We will scrape by and figure it out on our own because we don't want our children in your church." You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. We're
Yeah.
getting back to revitalization,
Yep.
rural
Uh,
communities.
so and that doesn't incorporate just internet, obviously, like rural access, rural healthcare access. I was a medical coder for a hot minute, and one of the courses you have to take is on Medicare and Medicaid.
Yes.
I was not aware that when I had health insurance, when I had Medicaid, the HMO that I was under, uh, back in the way back days when I was first on it, it was almost impossible to find a doctor that could cover your insurance. Well, now when I was on it more recently, I just, I got the insurance. I called, I said, "Hey, do you accept this?" They're like, "Yep, everything's fine." Um, and then I did my medical coder schooling and I had learned that my actual HMO wasn't covered technically from my local hospital. but because Medicaid has provisions,
Mm.
they're sorry, my son was decided to like call through on my phone, and that was going through my headphone. Um, um, so the provisions require that if you're a rural resident, instead of having to travel the hour away to the covered doctors and the covered facilities that I actually am covered under, they're required to cover those rural hospitals. This big, beautiful bill takes that away. It's one of the things that's going to get cut. The hospitals receive extra funding in the rural areas to have this.
Well, and that's like, people will argue this left, right, and sideways, but that's life-saving care, right? If you don't have an hour to get to a hospital and there's a hospital near you, you're going to go to the hospital that's closest to you. And the fact
Yeah.
that they're covering that is, I mean, it is very, that's very frustrating. And I know that, like, being in rural communities, there's a lot of different kinds of deserts. Maybe it's an internet desert, or like the healthcare desert, if you will, or even like grocery deserts and things like that, because you don't have big major cities with all of the amenities and things and stuff.
Yeah. I'm trying to look to move right now. And a place that I found is actually in a like a food desert. So that's great. Oh, but there is that too. And like I can see, I go to food pantries. I am not rich by any means. I am at the point in life where I make too much to receive assistance,
Mm-hmm.
but not enough to actually live and fund my life, like fund that all the food. So I depend on food pantries pretty much for all of my food. Um, and those waits are 2 3 hours long, and the food, there's less and less food. There's
Right.
less because there's so many people who need it. Um, it's with the minimum wage still being so low, and rent in this area, in this part of the district, is super high because of proximity to Madison.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get more north, it's lower again, and but again, people are being paid way less than they are being paid here, so it
And
kind of
you're
like
like
balances back
further
out.
away from all of the amenities. So you're like, now I have to drive all, however
Mhm.
far, things like that. Yeah. I mean, I do believe that we're talking about this level of income that you need to get assistance versus not get assistance, plus the minimum wage. These are all things that haven't changed in a really long time and are like not adjusted for the current economic situation that we live in, or even like the
I
one from
remember
25
I
years
was
ago.
yeah, I was working a minimum wage job when the minimum wage last was raised. That was the only way I ever got it raised, was
Shit.
the when the minimum wage went up. And
Yeah.
that was Arby's.
Hell yeah. Good sandwiches.
And then when I became a shift manager, you make about 20 cents more above minimum wage. That's about it.
Stop it. Stop it. That's crazy. Yeah, I like that, it literally, and then we have people all over the internet saying that young people don't want to work. And I'm like, young people want to get paid for the work that they do. They want to get
Right.
paid
When
appropriately.
I was when I was 19, I was a shift manager at Arby's. I worked at a vet clinic in animal care, and as a vet tech assistant.
Hmm.
And then I also had a job at a gas station doing book work. So I was working I literally came home, changed for shower, changed, went to work, came home, showered, slept, went to work. There was no time for anything.
Yeah.
And I still was always broke.
Yeah. Right.
Like, we're working yourself to the bone. But then the other thing that's still really prevalent in my district specifically, um, I mean, rural revitalization really encompasses everything, but the opioid crisis. Um, in like Fond du Lac, Sheboygan area,
Hmm.
um, they have always had the highest amount of drugs and overdoses per capita. In 2022, the number
In the
one
entire
cause,
country or in Wisconsin?
um, I'll have to double check that. If I don't know if it's in Wisconsin or in the entire country, but like, um, it still is the number one cause of death for people from age 18 to 45 in Wisconsin. It is the number one cause.
Yeah.
And yeah, in 2022, Fond du Lac County had 30 deaths deaths per 100,000 residents. Um, and my son's father is from Fond du Lac as well. And he passed away from the
And
opioid
I was about to
crisis.
say, you mentioned you're a single parent.
Yep.
I'm so sorry. The opioid crisis, and like you, I also started volunteering with unhoused people and people experiencing homelessness very young. And it was through my church, which was not the one that told me I was going to hell for public school. Very different
Yeah.
ideology. But like understanding, obviously you've had a front row seat to addiction and what it does to people, not just through your son's father's death, but also through just being in Wisconsin, right?
Mhm.
One of
Yeah.
your main,
I don't have many friends left that alive from my 20s.
yeah, yeah. I have a handful. I think everybody our age, right? We're both 35 years old. I think everyone
Yeah.
our age knows at least like five people who have passed away. Pretty much everyone I know has at least one very close friend or even more who has passed away from opioids. And I think I think your stance on it is completely right. Addiction is a disease, and our country, our government, and the doctors in our country actually facilitated it for millions and millions of Americans for years and years and years. And obviously this is due in part to the Sackler family as well. But like, I would love to hear your thoughts on how we change this national narrative around addiction, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
If you have any. I know it's like,
Yeah.
let's solve this
I've
massive
always,
problem right now.
I know I've always been like, part of me running is because like I've been screaming in the void since like 2015, 2014. And Glenn Groffman was the first representative I ever wrote. And his fucking informed letter replied back, basically stating, I still have it, basically stating that, oh, I see you don't agree with me, but I don't care. I'm going to vote how I believe.
Ah,
And
interesting.
so when I got home, or I, I went to a protest on April 19th, and that was the spark of everything.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of people that were yelling slurs at us, blasting exhaust fumes at us. I was just like upset beside myself a little bit from that, but also there was hundreds that supported us, and that really hit home too, to see all the support. And the lady next to me had said, "It feels like we're in a parade, but we're not. We don't have to move for it." But it still made me scared because
Yeah.
I grew up. I grew up just a few miles away from where the people trained to kidnap the governor
Yes.
of Michigan.
Yeah.
That's where I grew up. And they might be released, and that's really scary to me.
Right.
Um, because I still remember like when they would drive their trucks with their big flag past my house, like I was the same people connected. And knowing that I'm visibly queer, visibly trans, and I'm unmasking, so more visibly autistic, that I have a target on my back. And so like I immediately asked ChatGPT, what's the next election? Who is up for election? And it said Glenn Groffman. I was like, bet. This motherfucker
This
has pissed me
guy.
off. This guy has pissed me off since I first fucking wrote him. He doesn't listen to any of his goddamn constituents. I'm so pissed at him. And I said, this is it. I have three options in life. I am either moving to another country. I have to go back in and hide myself, my authenticity, what I love about myself, or I'm going to fucking fight and just fire him and get him out. This is Winston.
I was gonna ask you if you're a cat or a dog person, but the question,
um, no, I can't answer that because I also am a dog trainer and do animal reiki.
like D, all of the above, just animals. That's
Animals.
just all of them.
I am once I'm done fighting in Congress and things are okay and there's people after me that can take my position or whatever, I am going to be living in a cottage in the woods with my rescue animals. There's going to be a cow, there's going to be a goat.
Amazing.
And that's where I'm going to go. That's all I want to do with my life. But we can't, where this is going, where things should going.
Yeah, we
Just
do. We
can't.
need we
So,
need new young leaders, and that's why I'm excited to talk to you. question about your district. What do you think is most important for the people of your district right now?
Out of the top, so hard to choose because
You can do top,
homelessness is
like top
on the
three,
right.
maybe.
It's just my top three: human rights, animal rights, environmental protection.
Environmental protection is just when you say environmental protection, I feel like you're cheating because, right, that's the thing that affects every single one of us. It affects every single community. It affects all the animals. It affects the entire, like,
Well, and
but I'm
what
with
people
you.
don't
I agree
realize
with you fully.
is the Midwest has the largest amount of fresh water in the world,
Right. Like
and
the,
we
I was going to say the,
and only 2% of fresh water is accessible, and only like a fraction of that is drinkable.
right.
Yes.
Right.
So, like, for the world preservation, it is so important in the Midwest.
Hmm.
Um, well, we have Horicon Marsh, which is the largest freshwater marsh in the United States. It filters and has like the gigantic filter
Right.
for all the fresh water. And that, I mean, when they first, the history of that, they first drained it and tried to use it as farmland, and it doesn't work that well as farmland. So it's
Everything
back
will
at the
sink.
marsh.
Everything will
But
sink and you will lose all of your crops and it's going to suck.
right.
It's
And
not the soil we build things on.
no, it isn't, and it's internationally protected. It's not just
Oh,
it's internationally protected. So we're
wasn't
lucky
something.
in that aspect.
Yeah.
Yes. But like Scott Walker, he had started selling private land to, or I mean, public land to private people,
Hmm.
and when he was governor. And so yeah, it just the people, they need healthcare and food. Like that's what we need. So and then the land, we just need to keep. We need to stop the drilling. Enbridge, the
Hmm.
company that does the pipelines, the fuel lines from Canada down through Minnesota and Wisconsin,
Hmm.
uh, they they get so many violations, so much violations, and
Of
it's
course.
going right into the water that filled the well. It's everything.
Right.
Uh, yeah, the environment has always been my biggest passion myself, but then comes animals.
But like again, the environment is so expansive and it affects obviously it's the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food that we eat, the like just being able to exist with our windows open and things like that, right? And be able to breathe that air. It's so important. And the idea that people are comfortable ignoring it has always boggled my mind a bit. Um,
My son's aunt, my son's uncle, he works on the pipeline
mm,
sometimes. He works for Michael, which is a big Republican based company. Anyways, Michael's ran for a
something.
position as
Yeah, I was
governor.
like something.
I
I
think
don't remember,
governor.
but I remember being
But,
like that Michaels.
but yeah, yeah. Yeah. So he ran so whatever, his uncle's is a dick. But he's a big Republican. They make a lot of money and they think nothing happens. It's gonna bad happen to them. And when I was talking to them about how the oil lights leaks and stuff, she had told me that they have a private well, so they're fine. And I'm like, so you have some special force field that doesn't allow anything to seep into your well? That's not how wells work.
Right, right. The water is coming from somewhere, and if the water is tainted, like you're not doing you're not bringing in your own water. It's all
Like it all filters back down to the aqueducts and fills back up into
and
the
then it
wells.
starts again.
How?
Yeah, it's all you're like I know you're not sharing your water with the city, et cetera, but like it's not oi.
It's not impermeable. Like,
Yeah, yeah. We have the
yeah,
Superman of water of wells. You
yeah.
can't get in there. That's crazy. Uh, I grew up in North Carolina and we had a bunch of issues with Duke Power and the way they didn't line the land they were using for their waste, and
Mhm.
that was all in our water. And then they were like, "It's not that bad. You guys seem to be fine." And everyone was like, "Are we?"
Yeah,
Like, you're an
and I
energy
bel
company. You can't judge that. Like,
and the fact that we don't have safe drinking water in all communities,
yeah,
you know, and we have the most access to fresh water.
it's wild. Is the pipeline a big source of your economy for jobs and things like that in your district?
Um, I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I was when I did a big research project on it. One of my many schooling attempts. I have enough years of schooling to have a doctorate, but I just have an associate's at this point. Um,
That's
but one of my I went to Unity Environmental College or university now. So it was a big on environment, and I just heavily researched about Enbridge and construction that's been happening, but I didn't look too much at the
special interest
job.
for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go through those as well. I like oscillate.
Mm,
I've been very deep into prison uprisings in the 60s and 70s. I'm kind of like
okay.
working my way through all of them, and I've been stuck on like about 3 weeks. So I get it. I love a good special interest that you come out on the other side and you're like, I'm more informed, but also I'm a little angry and maybe a little sad. Um,
Yeah. Another thing, yeah, because like another thing that they have voted to pass, and I think it actually got approved, and it's such a really shitty written bill. It's like a paragraph. The whole bill is like a paragraph, and it's called the some type. It's labeled like the Freedom something of Lead Use Act or whatever. It's basically so that hunters and fishermen can use lead based bait and or tackle and bullets
right. And so this
in
is
federal waterways.
uh,
Federal waterways.
okay, and this is a Wisconsin bill, right? And there,
I know Grothman voted for it. It's actually
oh,
no,
okay, so it's at
federal,
the,
federal.
uh, it's so frustrating because there's so many problems that I thought we were like, great, we've dealt with it, we're moving on, and now we're gonna have to go back and remind people that like you can't chew or ingest lead. It's going to cause problems. You know,
In
it's a
Milwaukee,
boil
so
in
many schools.
water.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. In Milwaukee, so many schools are being shut down for lead issues. Like,
yeah. I mean, we have so many
oh,
forms in New York that you have to sign that you're like basically saying like, I'm not going to chew the walls. Like, we know there's probably lead paint in here, but like, just don't eat the paint clippings. Don't let your cats or your children eat them. Like, stay away. And it's like, yeah, buildings built in 1800, fine. But like, adding new lead, allowing new lead in when we know how bad it is, and we know just, uh, mm,
well, fun fact.
is it going to actually be fun?
Maybe it explains a lot. It explains a lot.
Okay.
Um, Shooting lead ammo exposes you to lead. Police officers have a high amount of lead in their blood.
That is
There's many studies on lead levels, and it's like I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was a pretty large amount.
that's very interesting, actually. Um, hmm. I have a lot of thoughts.
Me too.
Yeah. Like I think we're gonna skip that topic for this one because we've got to keep it moving, you know. And we could sit here and talk about that for days and days and days. Um,
Mhm.
so what would for your district specifically, Wisconsin 6, what do you think success looks like from the federal level down, right? Like how could you
Mhm.
what is your idea of success? And this
Um,
question just came to me, so if you need to think about it and we'll like
yeah,
we can come back to it
my
or something like that.
my idea for success. I mean, I just think the basis of my platform, which is everybody should be able to exist as they choose and as they would like, and that makes them happy. as long as it causes no harms to others, animals, or the environment. Like, success would just be people being able to live how they want to live as long as it's not causing harm. And if they find out it is, then we go back and be like, okay, let's reevaluate. We can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then, but success would definitely be having healthcare access for everybody, especially
Yeah.
mental health care access. Um, Revamping, uh, definitely with the internet and a lot of what's around here is monopolized. When I lived in Randolph, all we
Yes.
could have was CenturyTel or CenturyLink or whatever it is
Mm-hmm.
now. Um, Nobody else was allowed to come in. But they weren't upgrading us either. They weren't doing anything to make anything better.
Right. Right.
Uh,
But they got
so
like
yeah,
the
just
city contract or whatever it was, and they just had
Mhm.
that space. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, and so we have monopolies, and right, like in this area, the only thing you can get is Spectrum. Um, it's just a monopoly. Uh, and then definitely livable wages.
Right.
Everybody making. It's crazy to me that people think that a pay should be based on how people believe a job is worth. I can tell you all of the jobs I had, I still would never work fast food again. Ever.
Yeah.
Like that was the hardest, most abusive job I had.
Yeah.
And I have worked a lot of different jobs. I have a very wide special interest, I guess. My special interest is learning.
So is mine. That's literally that's exactly same thing. Like I've like you done it all. Worked fast food. Worked in restaurants. Worked in everything that I can like get my hands into, and like
Mhm.
and now I'm starting a podcast because I just like to talk
Yeah.
to other people. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Like the food service industry is so hard, and
Mhm.
then people like we allow these conversations to go on, um, and it's people doing the thing they always do, it moralizing something that is inanimate, right? They're like, that's a good
Mhm.
job, that's a bad job, this is good, that's bad, this is evil, whatever. I'm like, it's a job. It's a job. It should pay your bills,
Well,
right? Like you should
I
be able
what
to get food and pay rent with it.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And when I would work harder jobs or jobs they weren't, I was like,
I know.
this is it?
I know.
Like what was so hard about this? What first off, a lot of things come really easy to me. That just how I am.
Mm-hmm.
Um so uh, it's bullshit. And there was a uh study done about what like CEOs spend most of the time doing. It's networking. Sitting
Oh
on
yeah.
phones and talking to people asking about their lives.
Mm.
Like what?
Yeah. Yeah.
You do that?
I'm
Make a
really good
million
at
dollars.
I'm really good at that. I mean, it's I always used to hire people who had restaurant business background, whether it's fast food or even
Mhm.
like mid-level or even luxury, because people are like, "Oh, you're just only hiring people who work in restaurants." I'm like, "Yeah, because if they can do that, they can do pretty much anything else." Like I've worked in sales since I left the restaurant business, so I'm like, they'll be just fine, and
Yeah.
they're the like people who have survived restaurant work are the people who are like very calm under pressure because you're like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm sorry, I had a six top and a five top sat at the same time. And then also, like, a bunch of people walked in and I'm getting screamed at for something that's not my fault. And guess what? Now we're closing down. We've all made money. Everyone has gone home and we're all going to come back to fight another day in the
Yep.
trenches. Yeah.
Yep. And it made me appreciate every time I go into a restaurant now and I see a bunch of customers getting angry, I start counting the crew members because I've
Mm-hmm.
been there. Like people don't know there is a mathematical equation to how many people you're allowed to have. And there was one time where I was allowed one person for the hour. It was just an hour between the lunch
Yeah.
rush and the dinner rush, basically. And so that was me. I had to send everybody home.
Right.
Like, we haven't made enough. I'm the shift manager, so I have to stay here. And then we got a bus.
Of course. And you're like,
in that hour.
yeah, you're like, I can do this. You just need to be patient. Like it can be done. It's just going to take a while because I'm the only
Mhm.
person.
People or one person in the drive through asked to speak to the manager. I said, that's me. And she's like, well, you're the worst manager ever. And I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. Thank you. If you'd like to see one flight in here, please come on in.
You're like, also like it's either this or I shut down the drive through and you're gonna have to come in anyways and see what's actually happening. So, you know, um,
Like I'm taking orders, making the food,
yeah,
dropping the fryer, or
like
packing orders.
everything's fine. Everything's fine. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna get through this. Oh God. Yeah. No, I mean
But
that's
but yeah, I count. Well, the point of that, I count. So I count the staff, and I'm like, yep, they must have just got a rush or whatever. So I always then put a feedback. I give feedback to the restaurant because I know that when we got feedback in the restaurant and it was positive, we hung it up for everyone to see. And so, like, I always, when they're in that rush, just
yeah.
people are so abusive to you. They're so
Oh
mean.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, that one good note is going to make their night. We're just going to send them that.
Bring up the morale immediately. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
great. I love that.
Hmm.
I do I feel like that's one of those things you have to remind people. Like people are like, oh, there's bad reviews. I'm like, a lot of people just write reviews when they're angry. Like there's not
Yeah.
that many people don't take the time out of their day to write positive reviews. So that's really I like it. So, um, we got a couple more minutes here. Are you
Oh,
ready for some rapid fire questions?
sure.
Before we jump in, where can people follow you and get involved?
So I am on uh Facebook. The name is Kelly Brown for Congress, Rural Roots, Radical Hope. On Instagram, it's Friends with Kelly Brown. On TikTok, I have to just double check because I know it's a little different. Um, it's at Kelly for Wisconsin.06.
Amazing.
And I think, oh, I do have Blue Sky too. Schedules that one up too. I haven't done much on Blue Sky. Oh, that's just Kelly number 4 Congress dash Wisconsin 6 at Blue Sky Social.
Awesome. So guys, go follow along. Follow them on TikTok. Follow them on TikTok, Blue Sky, Facebook, and in their bio you'll see a link tree that'll have more information on the campaign as well, which is awesome.
I do
Okay.
have an Act Blue.
And Act Blue secure Act Blue now donate button. You
Hmm.
should click it, friends. Everyone should click it because unfortunately in this country it takes money to run a campaign. So
Yeah. Uh, Advocate for Trans Equity is endorsing me, and they gave me a goal to try to raise 15,000 in the first month, and got a ways to go. All right.
we have a number, we have a plan, we have a goal. I like it. That's awesome. I know it's terrifying, but it's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
When you are craving something, is it sweet or is it salty?
Dearly sweet.
Same. I know we've already established this, but cats, dogs, every animal under the sun, which one?
Every animal in the sun.
Fair. Fair. When you're overwhelmed and you need a break, what do you to do to take a break or relax or recalibrate?
My favorite place is going to the Horicon Marsh and just meditating and watching the birds. That's what I do.
I love that. There's people haven't read enough. Is it Emerson? You know, the one where he like goes out into the woods and just meditates for like
Hmm.
ever and ever.
Yeah, I do that often.
I love it. What is a go-to like order of yours? It could be coffee, it could be tea, it could be a drink, or like something that you have loved forever that will always love you back within the food beverage world.
It would be the Peruvian dark chocolate coffees that I drink with my salted caramel mocha creamer every day.
That sounds so good. Oh, yeah. I love that. Okay. That sounds really great. I'm gonna
Yeah, that is my every day. If I don't have that, my day is so sad. My day is so sad.
I drink my regular coffee every day with my deli bought almond milk and I feel like I need to step it up.
They sell these $25 bags of coffee at the pig. local Piggly Wiggly.
Do you guys have Piggly Wiggly in Wisconsin? I didn't know it was
Yeah.
all the way up there.
Uh-huh.
I love the pig.
Those are
Okay.
our grocery stores. That it's in our food deserts. Those are like our only grocery store option.
What? Oh, yeah. We didn't have them in North Carolina where I grew up, but we had them in South Carolina, and they're pretty rad. We like them, and
Mm-hmm.
of course they sell the shirts. They did merch
Yep.
before merch was cool. Like they were selling merch 30 years ago.
The local one in Randolph does cook off every year between pizza companies, local pizza companies,
Cool.
and they sell beer or they give samples of alcohol too. So you can walk around the store trying pizza and drinking alcohol.
I love
Wisconsin alcohol is involved in everything.
it. It booze heavy for sure. Do you drink or are you a drinker?
Not really. I like my green stuff better. Way better.
Okay, final question. What is your favorite thing about your district?
My favorite thing, it definitely is probably Horicon Marsh. That's all I love it there. The beauty, the nature, uh, and there's just so many beautiful hiking trails, so much beautiful places to travel and see and find all the fungi and lichen because those are all special interests.
Yes. I love fungi. I love fungi so much, and they're so unexplainable, and they're just so special.
It's crystal
Beautiful.
mushroom.
I love it. I love it. Well, folks, this has been our conversation with Kelly Brown, running for Wisconsin's 6th congressional district. You can follow them on TikTok at Kelly4WI, that's Wisconsin.06, Kelly for Wisconsin 6th. You can follow them on Instagram at Friends of Kelly Brown, Blue Sky, Kelly for Congress -WI6. Again, that's Wisconsin 6. Whatever Blue Sky does on the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go check them out online. Rifle through their bio, get to their Secure Act Blue, and let's raise some money. And that way we can send you, Kelly, to Congress.
I can fire Glenn Grothman.
That's right. Thank you so much. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Thank you for following The Foolish Optimist. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, pretty much. We're going to be dropping new episodes every Wednesday, and you can watch the video episodes on YouTube. If you would like to, please give us a review, leave comments. You can also email us at thefoolishoptimistpodcast@gmail.com. If you see any really great candidates that I should be talking to, send them my way. Thank you.